my goodness. Questioning everything today with Miss Mary. We are in the house and we are ready to have some fun. Are you ready to have some fun?
Totally ready.
Totally ready? Okay. Let's fade out the music. All dramatic like. Because I can't figure out how to get my mixer to work the way it's supposed to work, the way it was advertised to work, but it's okay.
That's
We
okay.
make do until we have the really cool studio.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
We've been saying that for a decade, Mary.
Literally.
So Mary Williams, diabetic coach at One Test at a Time, but we go way back before that. So Mary,
way before that. Now, Greg, before you start,
before I start,
before we get into this,
mm.
I want you to pull up a song for me.
What song?
Well, so I want you to pull up the song that the crowd absolutely loved on Complex Simplicity.
Complex Simplicity, that's our album that we made.
Yes, it is.
In 2009. Is it this one?
Take the bass line out.
It is not that one. Close.
Let me stop playing that before we get in trouble.
Right? We do not own rights to this music.
Do not own rights to that music.
There
it went a little something like denial before accusation is admittance to guilt. So you don't have to say a word to tear down what we built. I built the pieces all together like a patchwork quilt. Excuses that you... Whoa. Like, how stupid do you think I am? A fool you must mistake me for. Honesty's all I'm asking for. I mean, after all, we're married. No more. Wow, I forgot the words. It's too much to ask for you to be faithful and not be so hateful.
Too much for me.
Doing for me. Oh, yeah. Wow. So
that's how long it's been.
It's been that long.
It has been.
But you know what?
Long.
They knew the words.
Yes, they did, and they sung it with us.
To ask, not to split my heart in half. So that didn't go according to plan because every time you try to do something on Zoom, it sounds like a seance because we're delayed. But you know what? We live less than 20 miles away, so we could have done this in person and it would have been perfect. But let's apologize to our crowd for that craziness.
That's okay. That's okay. There was a whole point to that.
There is a point. There is a point. Let's bring it back around.
What
was the point, Mary?
So that was 2009, so 12 years ago. 12 years ago in May, I think, to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we were wanting to take over the world, weren't we?
Same thing we did every night.
Try
to take over the world, Mary.
Try to take over the world. That's right. We, we wrote those songs and you made those beats and we went to those live performances and we stirred that crowd up. But it got us nowhere, right? Got us nowhere.
I mean, it got us flat on our face eventually.
Got us flat on our face. What did we do wrong? Why weren't we successful at that time?
Let's see. I know for me, I was not healthy mentally, physically, or spiritually. Definitely not emotionally. There was no EQ then. I was a mess. I've been reading my journals from 2008 to about 2012, just randomly, and I hate that guy. Oh my gosh.
Does he make you cringe?
He makes me cringe. I actually saw a video from the turning point in my life in 2012 when I was in Pathways. And it's very cringeworthy, but you know what? It shows just how far we've come, just how far I've come.
And what do you believe was that turning point? Like what was it Was it emotional? Was it spiritual? Was it all of the above? What changed?
Hmm, that's a very good question. I believe all of the above. It had to be spiritual first, because it always starts from the inside out. So there had to be that spiritual connection. There was none of that then. There was a form of spiritual connection which was more of a guilt trip. I knew that everything I was doing was wrong, but that's all I was aware of. So that's all I did. And there was this guilt and shame that kept me trapped in this cycle. And so it started with that spiritual, but it had to come from the outside in and then back out. So someone had to make me aware of
The change that you needed.
the person that I was that there were no words for. You remember.
I remember.
Mm-hmm. Hot mess.
Hot mess.
And then going to Pathways is a program to basically get to emotional maturity in a public forum. So it forced you to go through it really fast. So in a matter of 5 months, you fought for your inner child. You found who you were and you lived from that. You live life by design rather than by default. And that was what woke me up, was that I was just living on this hamster wheel and I had to get off of it somehow.
So when that started, did you find yourself healthier? Did you
No.
find yourself making better choices?
Okay, you know what? Not at first. I was just thinking that right now that you're asking me questions, right? Because this is question everything, but
Right.
I didn't know I was coming into an interview, girl. I didn't come prepared. I didn't put on no
We're going to
makeup or
interview each
nothing.
other.
Okay, let's do that. So not at first. I wasn't making great choices at first, but they were better. And okay, no, let me quit lying. They were the same choices, but there was a different awareness and a different feeling behind those choices that helped to change. So now that I was aware of everything I was doing, it was very uncomfortable to live the same way. And so there had to be a change made. I just didn't know what changed. So I started changing the people, places, and things I hung out with, hung around. Yes, all of that. Just changed it all. And it took a while, but actually, I say a while, about 3 years before I finally decided it was time to change places. I changed all the people. Changing the places was what really took it to the next level. And I'm not encouraging by any means running away from your surroundings because you think it's going to make a change, because no matter where you go, there you are. It just gave me a clean slate to work on myself from without the baggage of the people I know holding me to the person they know me to be. You can't grow in the same circle.
That's very true. Very true. So when all of this started manifesting and you started putting more thought into the choices that you made and putting more thought into the people that you hung around with, the place that you live, and what you ultimately are deciding to do for your career, all of that comes together in a healthier way because you are more mindful of what you are doing and how it
Absolutely.
affects yourself, those who are around you, and your health. The reason why I wanted us to kind of reminisce whenever we were touring Dallas is because at that time, neither one of us were healthy. We were not healthy mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
True story.
True story. Now, you mentioned before, I am a diabetic lifestyle coach. I am a type 1 diabetic, have been for almost 30 years. It'll be 28 years this coming September. And um, what I have found is these last 30 years almost. Every decision that you make affects you in more than one way.
Hmm.
Affects different aspects of your life. So when I became a type 1 diabetic at 10 years old, very young, I had to grow up very fast, very quickly. You're talking about checking your blood sugar multiple times a day, having to take insulin before you eat,
Hmm.
before you go to bed, possibly extra times whenever you're sick, or you're stressed because your blood sugar is running high. All of those things, learning all of those things at such a young age prepared me for adulthood, essentially. I am taking responsibility for my own actions when I decide to eat a piece of cake instead of an apple for
Give me a
dessert.
taste of diabetes.
Taste the diabetes. Now, back then, when we were trying to do our music career, my blood sugars were not where they needed to be at all. I was going through a divorce, right? A relationship that lasted almost 10 years, but we were only married for 3. Just goes to show that no matter how long you're with somebody, you don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Mm-mm.
So, going through a divorce was not healthy mentally or emotionally because of everything that I was having to deal with. But my outlet was the music, right? Because that is what
Mm-hmm.
I wrote about. This change in my life, being heartbroken and finding God and what have you. That was my outlet. That was my way of trying to become healthier mentally and emotionally. But I wasn't doing it the right way because we were still we were working full-time jobs. We were up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
You was working a full-time job. I was
Okay,
uh
fine. I
I
was
was
working a
living with
full-time
mom.
job. You were living at mom's, but you were still working at Cheesecake Factory,
I
right?
was. I
You were.
was.
You
Full
were.
time.
Right. But you know, all of what we were doing back then, it wasn't doing it the healthy way, the right way.
Mm-mm.
And that I believe is why we did not see the success that we wanted to see,
Are seeing now.
are seeing now.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now, as you mentioned, the success we are seeing is because we're not making those old choices that we had
Mm-mm.
been making.
No.
I am a diabetic lifestyle coach because I have lived through a lot of bad diabetic experiences.
Mm.
Almost died probably 5 or 6 times, I
Good
believe,
Lord.
including my diagnosis. When I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, again, I was 10 years old, but my blood sugar was 750, really high, especially for a child. A
What's
child
the
is not
average?
average or what your blood sugar should be.
Should be.
Should be. So for a non-diabetic, a normal blood sugar is anywhere between 60 and 90.
And yours was 750?
Mine was 750.
Did you eat the Cheesecake Factory?
You would think that I did.
Gosh. I didn't do it to her, guys.
Right, right. We hadn't met at this time. I was only 10. I mean, come on.
We go back, but not that far back.
But not that far back. No, but so my blood sugar was 750. I was in a coma for 3 days. I was in the ICU for a week. And the reason it, despite what popular belief is about diabetes, Sugar does not cause diabetes.
What?
Sugar does not cause diabetes. If it did, anybody who ate sugar would be a diabetic.
Okay.
Okay.
Break it down.
My ex-husband, he was a big guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He loves carbs, loves the sweet stuff. I mean, I can't count on both hands how many times he would just order something really sweet, eat it, and then order something else really sweet. He is not a diabetic. He is not a type 2 diabetic. He has no diabetes whatsoever, not pre-diabetic. And the time whenever we were divorced, he was nearing 400 pounds. Now, if diabetes was caused by what you ate, wouldn't he be diabetic?
Or just a really sweet guy.
Or just a really sweet guy?
To everyone but you.
Right.
I mean, but yeah, you would think. You would
You would
think that
think.
at some point, yes, if that was the case. So what does cause
So
diabetes?
type 1 is an autoimmune disease, which means, and doctors still don't know what causes it exactly, but something in the environment sets off your genetic gene to tell your white blood cells to start attacking your insulin cells. So my body has been at war with itself for the last 28 years. Now, type 2 is still thought to be a metabolic condition, meaning your weight, but they're starting to think that type 2 may also be autoimmune. And the reason why they think that is because not everybody who has type 2 diabetes is overweight.
Can you repeat that? Because you cut out. I'm so
Did I
sorry.
cut out? Oh, that's
Yeah.
okay. Okay, no problem. So, did you catch the part about type 1?
No.
Okay. So, type 1 is a autoimmune disease.
Okay, yes, I caught that.
Okay. Okay. So nobody knows what causes it, but something in the environment, like a
Triggers
virus.
your white cells to
Right. Right.
attack your insulin cells.
Correct. And
There's
that's why I have to take insulin to accommodate for that.
you're at war with yourself. I heard all that.
Yes.
That really got my mind thinking like how much mental health is tied to our physical health, and do you think that being at war with yourself within your body stems from being at war with yourself mentally?
Absolutely. Well, okay, I say that I'm not saying that that's what causes it. I
Right.
don't think that's what caused for me to have type 1 diabetes, because how am I at war with myself at 10 years old?
That yeah. I, I don't see how that would happen, but I
Right?
wasn't there at 10.
But I do think that the fact that, yes, my body is attacking myself and I have to accommodate for what it's trying to do to my pancreas, um, that ties into mental health.
Hmm.
So I am on this continuing struggle, continuing balancing struggle of trying to keep my blood sugars in line and not make them go too high, too low. I'm essentially doing the job of an organ 24/7. There is no breaks, there is no vacation. That really drives on mental health.
can imagine. I couldn't be you. And recently, my A1Cs were up. Like recently, like yesterday, I found out from my lab test that my A1Cs are 1% higher, so it's pre-diabetic. And you were the person I reached out to because I know Mary's, she knows what she's doing when it comes to this, but I don't want to have to do what she does. So how do I get from
How do I
pre-diabetic?
not?
Yeah. How do I stop this in its tracks? And if it's like a gene, how do I remove that?
Right. So there's no removing jeans unless they're the pants that you're wearing, but please don't.
I mean, we work from home, so
Right, right. Just
you
don't.
don't know what's going on down
I
here.
don't. Anyway. Jeans with a G. You can't remove
Can't
jeans
remove
with a G.
genes with a G.
Right. But you can prolong it.
Okay.
Now, you being at a pre-diabetic A1C range, which is, I believe, 5.2 to 6.2, if I'm correct.
5.7 to 6.5.
Five. Okay, I was close.
You were close.
I was close. So being in that range, you are able to prevent yourself from going from going to being a type 2 diabetic. You won't be able to prevent it forever because it is going to eventually happen. The older you get, the less functioning your pancreas becomes.
That's stupid.
I know it is so stupid. But what you do now can help prolong that type 2 diabetes diagnosis until you're 60, 70, 80 years old.
What if you want to live to 150?
Well, I mean, just try to keep eating low carb and exercise, and if you do get type 2 diabetes when you're 110, I'm pretty sure you can live 40 years with it without any complications.
Could you picture me at 110? Because this mind is never going to change.
No, and I was going to say the only thing that would be different you would have gray hair. That's it.
And less teeth than I have now.
So yeah, if you just start eating low carb now, do at least 30 minutes worth of exercise every day, which I know you do. I mean, you've shown me your iWatch, your iPhone watch, right? You've shown me those statistics. I know you're getting your exercise. So because I know you're getting your exercise, then it's really the food that we have to pay attention to. Now, remember, sugar and carbs did not cause this.
Did it?
But it doesn't help either. Because your pancreas is dying. Well, not dying. Your pancreas is not dying. Your pancreas is just being slow. It's getting tired. It has been working overtime for a little while, trying to process all the carbs that you're eating. Not just sugar, it's carbs. Carbs is the bigger thing than sugar is. Everything has sugar in it, just about.
Carbs convert to sugar, right?
Yes, carbs convert into sugar.
Okay. So, question. How could you speed your pancreas up? Do you think clean eating is the answer?
I don't think it'll necessarily speed your pancreas up by clean eating, but it will give it a break. By not eating as many carbs throughout the day, you're letting your pancreas take a break from having to produce insulin, right? So type 2 diabetes, like I said before, it's more right now considered a metabolic issue. Your pancreas is being overworked. It's not able to turn the carbohydrates that turn into sugar. It's not able to direct that sugar into your cells. That's the job of insulin. Insulin takes the sugar in your blood, puts it into your cells so that your cells have energy, because that's what sugar is. Sugar is just energy. You have energy flowing in your blood if you don't have enough sugar or enough insulin to put it into your cells.
Is that why I'm so hyper?
Well, I've got other reasonings for that, but we'll save that for another day.
No. So I'm loving this explanation. I'm just learning right here, and I'm hoping that our listeners are learning, and I'm going to ask you a few more questions to clarify and get deeper in this, but let's keep going.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, remind me where I left off. I just lost my train of thought.
Sugar is just energy.
Sugar is just energy. Sugar is energy. You have energy running through your blood. If you don't have enough insulin to put it into your cells then get tired. They can't move the way that they're supposed to. Your body starts shutting down. You start having organ failure. You start having circulatory problems. This is what happens whenever your blood sugar is too high for too long. And that is why diabetics are very prone to having amputations, kidney failure, gastroparesis, which if you don't know what that means, you can certainly ask me and I'll let you know. Seizures.
Wow.
Blindness, hearing loss.
Wow.
Yeah.
All of this from diabetes?
Yes.
What is gastroparesis?
Gastroparesis is where the digestive nerve in your stomach, it is called the vagus nerve, dies. It cannot digest food the way it's supposed to. I was actually tested for gastroparesis probably about, was it almost 3 years ago? And luckily it came back negative. I don't have it yet, but I do show symptoms of it. So what happens is you're trying to eat food. All of a sudden you feel full pretty quickly. You haven't eaten a lot, but you feel full. And then you start getting nauseous after you eat and you have to go run to the bathroom and you throw up. Undigested food.
That sounds painful.
It is. I have a friend who has been a type 1 diabetic, not as long as I have, but probably 20 years, I think she's had gastroparesis for 15 years. And she had to have, I think, a third of her small intestines surgically removed because of the damage that gastroparesis caused.
Oh, okay, so diabetes couldn't have been a thing before all this processed food, could it?
Yes, it was. Diabetes is the oldest disease known to man. It's been recorded in Egyptian, what do you call them? Hieroglyphics.
Okay.
Researchers have been able to determine that diabetes was a disease back then. They didn't call it that. They called it like sugar urine or something like that, because when you are diabetic and you have a lot of blood in your, or sugar in your blood, you're going to expel that in your urine. That's the only way that your body is able to get rid of that excess sugar. You start expelling it in your urine.
So how did they know to call them sugar urine?
Say that again.
How did they know to call it sugar urine?
Because they may not have called it sugar urine, but sweet. Yeah. Well, and I see where you're going with that. How did they know it was sweet?
Thank you.
Yes, they did do that. Yes. it also has a smell, a sweeter smell than regular urine. But yes, they would
There are
have
so
to
many
taste
things
test.
going through my mind right
I'm
now.
sure there is. When you have a chance, you're gonna have to Google diabetic whiskey.
Diabetic whiskey. Okay. Wow. I'm I'm also curious if there was an R. Kelly in the Egyptian times and that's how they found out.
Was, I mean, but no, the diabetic whiskey back in, well, I want to say 1800s, they they use diabetic urine for whiskey because of the amount of sugar that is in the urine. They let it ferment. Google it.
I am so glad I don't drink anymore. That is just disturbing. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. I'm learning a lot about diabetes and I wasn't even expecting to. You
Right.
just like laid it all out on the table for me. So I do have one question though.
Yeah.
What led you to coaching on diabetes?
Very good question. So I decided to start coaching diabetics, diabetic lifestyle. Last year is actually this time last year. That's whenever I made the decision. And the reason is because ever since Facebook was created and we have these groups, there's a ton of diabetic groups. I'm a member of probably at least 10 of them, if not more. And the common thing that I keep seeing in these groups from both type 1 and type 2 diabetics is my doctor never told me this. My doctor never told me that. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my insulin carb ratio is. I don't know what my correction factor is. I don't know how to check ketones. I don't know what kind of insulin I'm supposed to be using. Am I supposed to be using long acting and fast acting, one or the other, both? I don't know. The fact that all of these people don't know important information about their disease, information that will keep them alive, is very concerning.
Yeah. Like, how are you telling someone that they're diabetic and then not telling them how to fix that?
The biggest problem with this is the fact that a lot of people are getting diagnosis from their general practitioner. They are not going to an endocrinologist, which is essentially a diabetic specialist. An endocrinologist specializes in your endocrine system, which includes your pancreas. Your pancreas is part of the endocrine system. Insulin is an endocrine hormone that your body produces. So an endocrinologist is really the doctor that diabetics are supposed to be seeing. Endocrinologists are the ones who can guide you to the appropriate treatment, answer questions for you, get dosage information corrected. But people are going to general practitioners, especially when it's type 2 diabetes. That's pretty much the only doctor that type 2 diabetics see is their general practitioner. And general practitioners, they know some, but they're not going to be able to tell you what your insulin to carb ratio should be if you're a type 1 diabetic. If you're a type 2 diabetic, they may not even tell you how many units you're supposed to take. My father is a type 2 diabetic. His general practitioner, when she prescribed him insulin, in these, they look like pens. So it's a pen and it's got a cartridge inside that has insulin, and all you have to do is attach a pen needle So you can dial up your insulin and inject. And in fact, let me show you. Do you mind if I grab my supplies real quick?
I don't mind at all. I gotta
All
see
right,
this.
let me go show you.
Okay. That is so interesting. You would think that with all that we have now, that there would be more information, more help, more everything when it comes to this. If it's the oldest disease, shouldn't they have the most research and solution on it?
You would think, but I don't believe this disease was really taken seriously until we started seeing an uptick in type 1. Type 1 diagnoses have increased over the last 10, 15 years. And the reason I think that is because of the amount of excessive BPA products we have. I'll go into that in just a minute.
That's that stuff that's in the plastic that they have to tell you it's BPA free, right?
Right. Right. So this is an insulin pen. Inside here is the cartridge for insulin. And all you have to do is turn this dial back. You see those numbers, you just turn it. And of course, this one's out. I would grab the one that is out. Let me grab this one. This, by the way, is my short-acting insulin. This is what I take before every meal. And if my blood sugar is high and I need to bring it down, or if I'm sick and it's running high and I need to bring it down, this is the insulin I take. It's called Novolog. Then you got this insulin. This is Tresiba. This is a long-acting insulin, and I take it every night before bed. This insulin keeps my blood sugar at a baseline throughout the day. Because if I didn't take this insulin, let's say I didn't take this insulin and I don't eat breakfast, but I eat lunch, and I check my blood sugar at lunchtime and it is 320. And I'm thinking, I didn't eat anything. Why is my blood sugar 320? That's really high. Well, I didn't take this insulin to keep my blood sugar down at a baseline. And whenever you are starving, because essentially I would be in starvation mode if I didn't eat until 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, your liver starts dumping glucose. This is why food is not the only reason your blood sugar can skyrocket. If you are a diabetic and you do not eat and your body goes into starvation mode and you don't take any insulin, you are going to see high blood sugars because your liver is dumping glucose into your blood because it thinks it's starving and that your body needs that energy. And yes, your body does need that essentially, but you've already got blood or sugar in your blood, and it's just continuing to dump more because your cells don't have that energy and it's not registering to your liver, hey, I'm fine.
That's so crazy. So, sorry. What? I have a hard enough time remembering to brush my teeth twice a day, sometimes 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all the other things that life throws at you. You basically have to play the function of an organ, which our bodies naturally adapt to make us work less hard. So when did this start being? Maybe that's not the right question. What do you think can be done? I saw something about someone making some legislation because a guy found out he was diabetic and he was paying $684 a month for his insulin. and there was legislation that he put out to cap the price of insulin at $50 a month. Because $684 a month, that's a good Tahoe payment.
That's the low end. If now I'm lucky because during the pandemic, I was able to apply for insulin assistance. So, and what that means is I get my insulin for free right now because I made under a certain amount and they were being, you know, the manufacturer, my insulin manufacturer had this special provision that, you know, during COVID, if you make under this certain amount, we'll supply you with free insulin. Now, that was only for a year and that year's coming up. So pretty soon I'm going to have to start buying again. But the reason why I say that that's probably a low end is because a vial of insulin is a lot cheaper than a package of pens. These pens, you get 5 of them in a box. Okay. But a vial of insulin is about anywhere from $250 to $300 a vial. Depends on which brand you get. Box of pens, about $1,200. Box 5 pens. Depending on the amount of insulin you take, not everybody takes the same amount. Some people may take 2 vials, 3 vials a month. Some people may need 2 boxes of these pens a month. And it's 2 different types of insulin. Remember, this is my long acting. This is my fast acting. It is $1,200 per box, $2,400
a month.
A month.
So you pay rent and insulin.
Some people don't.
And that's it.
And that's it. I have actually, or you ration your insulin, and that is killing people. There have been, and this is kind of what started that legislation you're talking about. There's several states who are doing that, who are capping insulin at $50. However, a lot of that legislation only helps if you're insured.
Is there hope for people that don't have insurance?
I don't have insurance right now, and I have some hope. Okay. Texas actually passed legislation where they're doing the cap for insured, and then for uninsured, they are designating special programs. I don't know what those programs look like, but they're supposed to help. I'm sure we'll find out, or I'll read up about it here in the next month or two, because I think it's supposed to be available in September. I think that's whenever it goes into play. So at that time, I'll probably be able to see exactly what help for uninsured patients it's going to provide. There's also an insulin that's sold at Walmart. It's called Humulin, R and N. R is the fast acting, N is the long acting. That insulin's only $25 a vial. The reason why not everybody's using that insulin is because it doesn't work as effectively. That's the insulin that I grew up on. I used that insulin when I was first diagnosed.
I mean, it's Walmart insulin. It's like, doesn't Walmart argue with people about pricing and get them to charge less so they give them less quality?
Right. But this isn't, I mean, the quality isn't Walmart's fault. The quality is because it is an older insulin. It's been around since the 80s. It is not pork and beef, because they actually used to use insulin from pigs and cows. Hmm. Yes, back
Pigs can get
in,
diabetes?
huh?
Can pigs get diabetes?
Oh, any animal can get diabetes. Your dog can get diabetes.
What in the world? How did I not know? Guys, I'm learning a lot today, and I hope you are too. I feel like there is hope though. There's a lot of things that are baffling me right now, but it sounds like there's hope around the horizon.
There's hope. I want to mention a researcher that I've been following for a while. Her name is Dr. Faustman. She is the head of Faustman Lab at Massachusetts General Hospital. She currently has a phase 2 human trial for the BCG vaccine that she hopes will ultimately cure type 1 diabetes.
Now that would be a vaccine I'd take.
Yes, yes. And I want to stress this is phase 2 human trials. No diabetes research has gotten this far with a potential cure.
Wow.
Now, when I was diagnosed back in 1993, I was told, we'll have a cure in 5 years. 5 years later, doctor said, oh, it'll be another 5 years, there'll be a cure. We're working hard on it. Well, after about 10, 15 years of hearing that same story, oh, it'll be another 5 years, another 5 years. Kind of start losing hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I came across Dr. Faustman's work back in 2012, I started reading up on what she was doing. She started in the early 2000s, and I vaguely remember this story. Again, I was like 18, 19 years old, not really paying that much attention to what's going on in the diabetes world. But I did hear a story about a researcher who had cured type 1 mice with a specific vaccine. Didn't think too much of it. Thought, oh, that's cool, but you know, another 5 years, we'll see.
Right.
So when I started seeing these new stories about her research, 2012, 2013, sometime in that time frame, she started doing phase 1 trial for this vaccine, BCG vaccine. Her phase 1 results came out in 2015, and they were remarkable. Now, a lot of critics are going to say her test size was too small and her subjects were still using insulin. And let me tell you about her results. Yes, her test size was too small. There were only 9 participants, and only 3 of them actually got the vaccine. Yes, her participants were still taking insulin, but she had given 2 doses to these participants a month apart. 1 dose one day, and then 30 days later, the second dose. Within 3 years, the participants who had the actual BCG vaccine had seen a reduction of their A1C by 10%. After 5 years, that reduction was 18%. They were taking less insulin, and their eating habits had not changed, which means they're not eating less carbs, resulting in them needing to take less insulin. No, they're eating the same amount of carbs, but their insulin production is starting to come back alive. It's not full force, but it's there. And they're starting to need less insulin, and their A1C results are improving. So my A1C right now is 7.5. Not great, but a lot better than what it has been in the past. And it's acceptable for a type 1 diabetic. But if I had an 18% decrease in my A1C, I would be almost pre-diabetic level.
How would that make you feel?
Oh my God. Not only would I feel healthier physically, but mentally, that would be just the best thing, a huge relief. I have not been under a 15 years,
Wow.
maybe longer. Because as I mentioned before, everything affects your blood sugar, not just what you eat. So this vaccine is in phase 2. We should get the results at the end of 2023, so in 2 years. And I believe the dosage increased, and I think the number of shots increased. So the number of times that you take the vaccine may have increased. Not 100% sure about that, but I do know that the dosage increased. And I truly believe that after all the research is gathered from this phase 2, something's going to happen in the next 5 years after that. Really, for real, 5 years.
Like for real this time?
Like for real.
So, where can people find you? Because I feel like there are going to be some diabetics that end up watching this, or some people that already watch this show or listen to this podcast that are diabetics and are going to want to know. Wow, get it out, Greg. I can't talk and you're blurry.
I know. Go figure.
Yeah, so I guess our camera got diabetes and it's going blind.
It did. Well, you know what happened is its A1C has been high for so long that yes, it is going blind.
That is, wow. So people are going to want to know more. They're going to want to reach out, especially since the doctor's not telling them what to do. And Google is not the best doctor because according to Google, every time I'm sick, I should have been dead 3 weeks ago.
Right. Or it's going to tell you that cinnamon or okra water is going to cure your diabetes.
For real?
I am not joking.
What about cinnamon okra water? Maybe that's
You haven't tried that yet. Maybe that's the problem.
That's it.
You gotta mix the two.
That sounds horrible.
Yes.
I mean, okra is good, but it's not my favorite. It's just kind of slimy. So
and okra water? Come
sounds
on.
like, yeah, that's about as bad as flaxseed water.
You, yeah, no. Hot dog water.
Ew. That's just gross.
That's gross. It's not as bad as okra water.
Yeah. So there's so many questions, but there's just 3 I want to ask you right now.
Okay.
How do you find balance in all this chaos?
That is a very good question. I have to. I have to take things one test at a time.
Hence the name of your company.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yes. One test at a time, one thought at a time, one action at a time. You cannot overload yourself with this. The disease itself is overwhelming. Add everything else that happens in life on top of that. I mean, you're lucky if you make it to the end of the week. If you overanalyze, overthink, and try to overcompensate for all of this stuff that is happening. Can't do that. What I have to do, I wake up in the morning, check my blood sugar. If it's low, I drink me a Coke.
Mm.
If it's high, I take some insulin and I move on. And I do it the same way the next time I check my blood sugar, the next time I eat, whenever I'm sick, if I haven't slept. I just have to take all of those actions, and accountability is on me, but I move on and deal.
This sounds a lot like the 12-step recovery model. One day at a time, the disease is overwhelming. You just have to take it one step at a time, or else it will overwhelm you and you can relapse. And the ends are always bitter. Jails, institutions, or death. Of course, it's not the same with jail. You're not going to go to jail for having diabetes,
Well,
but you could be in a self imposed prison.
that's true. I was also going to say, you could technically, if you're driving while your blood sugar is too high or too low, if you were to cause an accident,
Whoa. Didn't even think about that.
mhm, that's
Wow.
why I do not drive anywhere if my blood sugar is too high or too low. Because if I hurt somebody, or I hurt myself, or I damage the car and the cops have to be called, there goes my license.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, you did say that the responsibility is all yours.
Mhm.
Wow. That's crazy. In all of this, was there any fear that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I mean, initially I was afraid of needles when I was a kid. So, of course, they wouldn't let me leave the hospital until I gave myself my own injection.
That's
Serious.
so cruel.
It's so cruel.
Like, I'm afraid of something and you're going to make me
You're
face it
gonna
head
make
on?
me do it. Yep, yep. Yeah, otherwise, I would be, I'm 38 years old and I would have Gentry giving me shots. And he can't do it all the time. Or I would be single and be living with my parents, still having my parents give myself shots.
That's not a good look.
That's not a good look
Been
for
there.
anybody.
Mm-mm. Well, I haven't been there, but I've been living with the parents in adult life, and that's not a good look.
No.
Uh-uh. So,
But other than the syringe, being afraid of the needles, I think the other fear that I've probably had to overcome is facing the fact that I have this disease.
mm,
Because when you're in the workplace, you don't want to look weak in front of your employer,
right.
right? I didn't want to look weak in front of my employers for years. I don't think I started telling my employer, of course, the many jobs I've had, but I don't think I started telling my employers that I was a type 1 diabetic outright till about 10 years ago.
That would be a fear you needed to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having overcome that and remaining authentic, what would you suggest for other diabetics struggling with the authenticity of being exactly who they are and accepting it and sharing it with the world?
I would say you have to think of this as a part of you.
Mm,
Diabetes is a part of you. It is not you, it does not define you, but it is a part of you. And if you are able to step up and take the responsibility of taking care of yourself, there's no reason to be ashamed to say that you're a diabetic, type 1 or type 2.
Mm. Now, do you feel like there's this balance between stepping up and taking responsibility and it becoming a crutch to where it becomes an excuse for a lot of things?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can step up and take responsibility, check your blood sugar, take your insulin or metformin or whatever diabetes medication you're on, eat right, exercise the way you're supposed to, get a good amount of sleep. But the moment you start saying, I can't do this, I can't go to work because I am always having high blood sugars, I can't go to this function because my sugar keeps crashing, I can't get out of bed because I'm just not feeling good because of my blood sugar. That's fine. But the moment you start using those as excuses, that's when that crutch becomes a problem. You don't want to be in a position where you are always having issues with blood sugar, with your blood sugar levels.
Okay. Now, with that all being said, sorry, I'm trying to position here because I'm taking notes, but I
Right.
also need to speak right into the microphone because for some reason, 10 episodes in, my mic isn't working like it used to, or people can't hear
Well, your mic is just cooperating with my camera.
me. And you know what? We're still going. We're still asking questions. We're still offering what it is that we have to offer this world.
No excuses, no crutches. My blood sugar's fine.
My mic's nice. Check one. I forgot what song that was from. My mic sounds nice. Yeah, I
Try and
don't
sing it
remember.
in your head.
I don't remember it.
No, I don't either.
Anyways,
Anyway,
we're not doing music today.
no.
Today, we are taking the people that we've become on this journey of trying to become musicians and helping others get out of those self-imposed prisons that we had put ourselves in. That being said, is there a mantra, quote, or saying that has kept you going with this disease that you can give to, I was trying to think of a fancy word for give, impart upon our audience?
One test at a time. Seriously, that is what has been keeping me going.
Mm,
I
shameless plug.
Shameless plug, I know. It's such a good name.
Your logo is pretty cool too. I don't know who did that for you.
Well, that's my good dear friend Dale West, who owns Mad Scientist Web Design. He's got nifty little not little nifty contractors who work for him, me being one of them. But yes, his team created that logo for me. I was pretty happy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they did my website too, except I did the copy.
She's a copywriter too, guys.
I'm a jack of all trades. Kind
You kind of have to be.
of have to be.
So one test at a time, speaking to all diabetics. One day at a time, speaking to all non-diabetics. The language translates. The skill is the same. Eating the elephant one bite at a time so that you don't choke.
Because that'd be bad.
Yeah. And elephant meat, I've never tasted it, but I imagine choking on it wouldn't be any better than trying to eat it.
Yeah. I mean, it might taste like chicken. It ain't
Mm.
gonna go down like chicken.
That's a big chicken. It's the biggest chicken I've ever seen. Mommy, why is that chicken so fat? What it lacks in wings, it makes up for in trunk.
And junk in the trunk.
Oh my gosh. Nothing has changed in the last 12 years.
No.
Just the actions, because the
That's
thoughts,
right.
the maturity level, it's still
No.
there. We just take different actions.
We're still 15 mentally. Maturity wise.
For real.
Right.
Just to let everyone know, that's how long we've known each other. What is that, 22 years now? 20.
No, 23.
23. Oh my, well, 23 for you. I'm not that old.
No, you're not.
Don't be dating me. I got another year before we catch up to you. I'm 37.
The number of years we've known each other doesn't change, though.
That's true.
Based
That's
off
true.
of that, it's still 23 years.
It is. I was just younger when I met you.
Yes, you were.
Fine.
Maybe.
All right. So here we go. My favorite question. What is one question you think everyone should be asking themselves, Mary?
One question I think everyone should be asking themselves.
Yes.
What can I do today that is better than I did it yesterday?
What can I do today that is better than what I did yesterday?
Or let me rephrase that. How can I be better today than I was yesterday?
That's a really good question. Because what does that get you thinking about?
It gets you thinking what you did,
Mm-hmm.
what you didn't like about what you did,
Mm-hmm.
or what you did and you didn't like the results. So let's say you did something,
Mm-hmm.
you did it maybe not to the best of your ability, but you did it right, but you didn't like the end result. How can you do what you did the day before better to get the result that you like?
That's a really good question. I feel like the toxic why is the opposite of this question. So you do something, you didn't like it, and you say, why am I like this? Well, your brain's going to produce a Google a Google search results with a million reasons why you're like this, but it's not going to lead you towards a solution. So your question is saying, how can we focus on solution rather than the problem? In a nutshell. Mary, this has been an awesome interview. I'm a little speechless because I wasn't, I ditched the script and I said, let's just go with the flow. And you took control. And I believe that there is at least one diabetic that's going to walk away with some hope, or someone that knows a diabetic that's going to walk away with a little more hope than they had before they watched this. So thank you for that.
Of course. And do you mind if I drop another plug?
Drop it. Actually, I have two plugs I need to ask you for. So let's go ahead and wrap up that next plug. And then, who are two people that you know that are crushing their goals or have an inspiring story like yours that you'd love to see me interview on the show?
Well, let me answer that question first, and then I'll drop my plug.
Cool.
Okay. So 2 people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one is actually going to be my younger sister, Cecilia.
Aw.
Yes. She is totally crushing it, and we are working together to get her own business started. She is a licensed counselor, and she is starting her own business to help women feel empowered.
Whoa. Hold
Yes,
on. Are we talking about the same Ceci I knew?
the same one.
This is this is the younger sister.
Younger, not youngest.
Okay, okay, okay. The youngest is still taking a
Yeah,
better
yeah, yeah.
path too, though, right?
Sure.
Okay, okay.
Yes, she is. She's doing well. Her path is different.
Uh-huh.
It's not what it was a decade ago.
Right. But it's
Just
getting better.
it's getting better. It's getting better.
Okay. Cool, cool. Well, I remember Ceci too. I,
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the youngest's name.
Natalie?
Natalie, thank you.
Yes.
And now I'm trying to remember your maiden name, and for some reason it just will not come to my head.
Loudest.
That's right.
I haven't had that last name in 16 years.
Yeah. Mary Cloudis.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so Cecilia Cloudis, or is she married?
Oh no, still Cloudest.
Cool. I remember seeing your name and thinking, she's in the clouds with us.
Well, you know, that Jimi Hendrix song.
Yeah, I don't know Jimi Hendrix.
You don't
It's
know Jimi
surprising. I
Hendrix?
know as much LSD as I did, and as much as people said, I
Dude,
kind of
he
reminded them of him.
totally like takes my name and like the clouds whisper Mary.
I've never,
You have never heard
no,
that. Hold
that,
on. Hold up. Whenever
what?
we're done with this call, you have to pull this song up and then you'll
Okay,
get it.
okay. So Cecilia Cloudis, number one,
Hmm.
number two, and then your plug. She's gonna drop her plug on the show.
I am. Okay, so the Jimi Hendrix song that you're going to want to look up is The Wind Cries Mary.
Hmm. There's
Mhm.
just something about Mary.
Something about Mary.
The wind cries.
So now is
Okay,
it plug time?
it's plug. Well, second person.
Oh, second person. That's right. That's right. Second person who is killing it and should be interviewed. I would like to throw out Miranda Gibson.
Is she in our group?
No,
No. Okay.
she works at Advance Your Reach. She is my friend of 10 years, and she is absolutely crushing her life.
Advance your reach for those of you that don't know. Okay, you're gonna have to take over there. I forgot, but I know it's
It's
major in the coaching industry.
yes, mainly in the speaking industry so that you can coach. So Advance Your Reach helps you win stages.
Mm, sounds like I need to advance my reach. I want to win the stage. We've always wanted to win the stage, Mary.
Right.
Actually, we won the stage.
We did.
We just walked off of it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Now our stage looks different.
Our stage looks bigger.
That's true. That's so true. We were so limited by being
We
in front
were.
of the people,
Mm-hmm.
which I love. Don't
Oh
get me
yeah.
wrong.
It's great to hear the people sing
Singing
your
along.
lyrics.
Yes.
Yes.
That was the most gratifying part of it.
Yes.
Front stage. What was her name? Brandis?
Brandis. I'm still friends with her on Facebook.
Yes, me
Hmm.
too. I think she changed her name though to something else, but yes, that was the I mean, she's up there crying, singing it. She was
Dancing.
feeling that. Yes.
Yes.
I was like, man, we need her as the hype man. All right, plug time. Drop it,
Plug
girl.
time. And of course, my camera is now working just in time for me to say,
Of course it is.
if you would like to learn more about One Test at a Time, the services I can give you, drop off at www.onetestatatime.com, and or you can meet me on Facebook at One Test at a Time. So facebook.com/One Test at a Time.
And we have been plugged.
But not in a bad way.
No. This is a good plug, especially if you know someone that is diabetic or you are diabetic. Type 1, type 2. Is there a type 3?
Yes and no. It's type 1.5. It's a type 1 who has been diagnosed later on in life. They call it latent onset adult diabetes.
I really hope that's not what I have. I'm going to get my ass to the gym here in a
Serious? Well, but you know what? If it is 1.5, you can't prolong that. It's like type 1.
All right.
There's nothing you can do to prolong it.
Well, I asked my doctor a question in the little app, the BSW app. So we'll find out what he has to say about it.
Okay.
Hopefully things will be okay.
And it's going to be this weekend before I can get your meal plan to you.
Hey, it's all good. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Of
I'll
course.
be eating crap food until then.
Enjoy it as long as you can.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Yeah, it's on the my template is on my laptop that crashed.
How fast was it going? All right. I'll see myself
Not
out.
that fast. It was going slow.
All right. That was the dad joke for the show.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, question everything. Everything?
Everything.
Love it. And find Mary on Facebook at facebook.com/one test at a time or www.onetestatatime.com. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Mary, we're going to continue talking because I'm cueing the music right now.